Okay.
Get the feeling into it. I have a whole bunch of other music that because I know you. You're like you're gonna call an audible.
Well,
Oh, I. It's a challenge. I like it.
did you get one of these?
I meant to bring all your music.
That's okay. I still know where you live.
Yeah.
Where all the construction trucks
You
are.
do know where I live. The guy's first.
Oh, very good. Did you see it? Hopefully it works. I put on the back of this
Oh, nice.
the song lyrics. You can follow along. So that'll be right after he speaks. I'll do a little introduction.
Yeah.
You guys can get settled. Have you seen our featured yet? Otherwise, we might have to add some music. You're on. You're live. Just so you know. I mostly turned it off because I didn't want any interference or feedback going on. But we can keep it on if you have your eyes on.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's where a speaker is going to be too.
When everything starts starting, just so someone comes to the stream, it's not like dead silence, you know what I mean? So just like I like to put it.
That's really smart.
We were just about to start, so I have a level there, so I just wanted to make sure that.
It's almost like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome everybody, Shabbat Shalom. As you are coming in, please find your seat and find a little tune inside to bring to the outside with us. When you're ready and the melody is a little bit in your head, start singing. Here we go, let's try it together. That phrase comes back every time. Did you notice? Can we try it? It goes like this. Let's all try it. If you're ever lost, that'll always come back in about 10 seconds or less. Let's sing together. Is anybody watching this child? Okay, here we go. You sound so beautiful. good to be together. Page 128. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim yam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim yam yachad. Let's try it. Hinei ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim yam yachad. 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 Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to one and all. Welcome to old friends, new friends. Welcome to our featured guest, Chaviv. We are so happy you are here. Anachnu kol kach smechim she'ata kan. Bruchim ha'abaim, bruchot ha'baot. If it's your first time at TBT, I promise I won't make you put up your hand, but we really want to greet you, so I hope you'll come up afterwards. It's a special thing to be together, and amidst the joy of being together, we also are holding with us always the brokenness in our world and the suffering of our people. And so we begin every service the way we have since October 7th of last year, which is by sharing the names of all who are still held captive among our people and offering a prayer for them. So if you received from Lauren Sturman a small piece of paper with the names of the captives written on them, a small one with names, I invite you to please rise at this time. And we're going to read all of those names slowly, please, at once, and meditate on all of their lives, their family members and friends who hope to see them, who seek their return, God willing, soon and in our time. Please feel free. Everyone, please rise and join as we share Tefillah L'Pidyon HaShavuyim, the prayer for the redemption of those in captivity. Achenu v'achiotenu kol beit Yisrael, hanatunim b'tzara u'b'shivya, ha'omdim bein bayam u'vein bayabasha, hamakom yirachem aleihem, v'yotzi'em mitzara l'revacha, u'me'afela l'ora, u'meshiabud l'geula, Hashtab agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. We can all read together. Our brothers and sisters, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress and captivity, who wander over sea and over land, may God have mercy on them and bring them from distress to comfort, from darkness to light, from slavery to redemption, now swiftly and soon. Amen v'amen. Please have a seat. This is a good opportunity to find somebody you haven't yet met and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 120, friends, for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalikneh
As these Shabbat candles give light to all behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generation of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindled light.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Moss.
Yeah, thank you for all you're doing to help make this weekend a success. Kabbalat Shabbat begins, friends, on page 130. Starts with no words, really easy, just ooh. Let's try just ooh. Lechu neranena, Adonai nariya, litzor yishenu, litzor yishenu. Lechu neranena, Adonai nariya, litzor yishenu, litzor yishenu. Lekadma fanav, betoda, vizmiro nariyano. Lekadma fanav, betoda, vizmiro nariyano. Lechu, lechu neranena, l'Adonai nariya, litzur yishenu, litzur yishenu. Lechu neranena, l'Adonai nariya, litzur yishenu, litzur yishenu. Lekadma fanav, vetoda, vetoda, bizmiro nariyalo. Lekadma fanav, vetoda, bizmiro nariyalo. Ooh. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru magoyim kevodo bechol ha'amim, mipneotavai ki gadol Adonai. Umul meod, norahu, al kol Elohim, ay, ki kol Elohim, ha'amim elelim, va'adon. second paragraph, bottom of the page. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagil haaretz o yiramayam umelo ya'alo sandai bechol asher bo ay az yiranenu kol atzeyar lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz lishpot tevel b'tzedek ve'amim emunato yanai rai 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 yanai rai 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 yanai rai rai rai. Yeah, you can just put down the book. You don't need it at the moment. Put the hands together. Let the voice sing out loud. That's right. Shabbat is a joyful time. So if you haven't started, you still have 24 hours left to find it. But I hope you'll find it soon because we've still got a lot more singing and praying to do. Page 138, Lecha Dodi. We'll be singing two different melodies of this. One came by special request and now is turned into a congregational favorite. Stu is not going to like me because we're in F sharp minor. Sorry, Stu. Okay, let's go to F minor. All right.
Yeah, much better.
Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi, I can't hear you. B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'divor echad hishmianu. Ela meyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet ve'elitila. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'ne'elchakim ekor ha'veracha merosh mikedem ne'etzucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Mikdash melech yirmelucha kumitzei mitoch ha'afecha harav lach shevet v'mekabacha v'hu yachamol alaichem la. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי. קורבה אל נפשי גאלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. I invite you to please rise if it's comfortable for you as we face the entrance to welcome Shabbat. Verse 9. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. ידעי די די די, ידעי די די Page 144. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בימד יברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה, ובזמן קריב וימרו. ישמי רבה מבורך, לעלם ולעלמי עמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן ועלמה וימרון. Page 146. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Let's turn the page. We read a blessing for the evening in English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid, yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, amari v'aravim. We turn the page. Avat olam Beit Yisrael, Avta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shofleinu v'kumenu, nasiach b'chukecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. 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 Please have a seat. Page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם. בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 157, as our intention turns to Birkat Geula, the blessing of redemption. Let's read this responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. Together. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets, though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as the children, singing on the shores.
Mi chamocha ma'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lot osef ele, norati lot osef ele, norati lot osef ele, malechutecha ra'uvanecha mi'okei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zeli anu ve'ameru Adonai imnoch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imnoch le'olam va'ed. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Page 161. Let's read this together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Together, Baruch Atah Adonai, Apores Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash, Shabbat vaynafash, Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. There you go. Nice. As we prepare for the Amidah, we consider a moment that brings us out of the read as one or read after me, out of the sing together or sing after me. This is a time to open up our own hearts in our own space. The Amidah begins together, but it also gives us an opportunity for silent reflection, which I hope we will take seriously as an invitation. Prayer doesn't always just work. You have to work at it in order for it to work. It's kind of like going to the gym for the first time all year and expecting to lift the 600-pound dead dumbbells. It's just not going to happen. You're probably going to tweak something in your spine. So let's be gentle with our spiritual spines, no tweaking necessary. Let's consider a heaviness that's been on our hearts that we need to feel lifted from our heart a little bit in this space. Or perhaps a place in our heart that is begging for some more substance, and it just needs a little more weight or meat on the bones, and it hasn't had that. Where in your soul are you looking for either of those things? That is the kernel of a prayer that you can offer when we each have a chance to offer our own silent prayers. So I invite us to think of that as we rise and turn to page 164 for Birkot Amidah, page 164. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shema be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chaim bechesed. Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, tzomech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach. Melech meimit u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atal hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yihallelu selam Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue in a moment of silence through page 180. I encourage you to take the time you need and have a seat when you're ready, but not a moment before. try this. Yehu leratzon imrefi Every time we come together in prayer, we offer special blessings of Mishaberach Lecholim, thinking of those in our community who are in need of healing or restoration or strength or fortitude as they care for others, enduring all of the very, very difficult things that we all in our own way must face as human beings. So I'll share the names that you all made known to me. And then if there are others for whom you're praying, if you're not a TBT regular or if you have somebody else you'd like to share from your life, I invite you, if you feel comfortable after that, to share their name. But it is not compulsory, and if you hold them in your heart, the prayer counts just as much. Tonight we think of our member Mark Warner and our loved ones Wendy Lee, Bruce Petroff, Paul Frisman, Kenneth Schachter, Shelley Kozlow, Vivian Liu, Lauren Thalen, Deanna Rosenberg-Garabo, Steve Asnes, Gloria Newell, Sabine Meyer, Jordan Leb, Mary Gregory, Vanessa Renahan, Randy Retkin, Stuart Katz, Mark Ostreicher, Bart Young, Sydney Scher, Matthew Pincus, Max White, Jodel Young, Al Masori, Hardy Schreiber, Beth Zagoria, Zeev Ben Bluma, Michael Campanelli, Nancy Feisler, Emily Belgard, Ned Doyle, Jane Lesser, Pat Masori, Pamela Johnson, Jack Pierce, Arlene Finns, Margie Lipschitz Shapiro, Thomas Louie, and Ellen Warner. Who else are we praying for tonight, friends? Please. John Van Steenbergen, and Greg Imler. Ann Rosen. Mark Schwartz. Robert Taylor. Karen Fishman. Beth Green. In the merit of our ancestors, we ask for their healing of mind, healing of body, healing of spirit. Sometimes just to be prayed for and know it can lead to healing. We are in our prayer sheet that you received when you came in as we sing Misha Berach. Sheberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov.
Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah,
veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer,
hear our prayer, hear our prayer,
hear our prayer,
hear our prayer,
hear our prayer,
and bless us as well.
Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Misha Berach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer,
Hear our prayer,
hear our prayer, hear our prayer,
hear our prayer,
hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Well, as I said at the outset of the service this evening, we could not be more thrilled, all of us, than we are, to welcome a very special guest tonight. Chaviv Rettig Gur, you are most welcome here in our synagogue as our scholar in residence this weekend. Chaviv, and you can come up if you want, unless you don't want me to embarrass you while you're next to me. Up to you. Chaviv is a senior political analyst for the Times of Israel, providing in-depth coverage of Israeli politics, security, and diplomacy. With broad experience in journalism and public policy, Chaviv offers a unique and compelling perspective on the intersection of media, politics, and international relations. He speaks extensively on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Jewish identity, anti-Semitism, and the shifting geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East. In just a moment, he's going to share a few words to kick off the evening. Afterwards, we will gather in the social hall for an oneg and an engaging question and answer session together with Chaviv. I would be remiss not to add one more thing, and I think it's fair that I do, because since it's something you said on a podcast, it's in the public domain, which is I was listening to Chaviv this morning talking in a recent podcast about his time as a chovesh, as a military paramedic when you did your IDF service. And he described himself as a chatty nerd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, that did not seem to be a very chatty response, ironically. Oh, I'm sure that's not true.
But not that good.
When he talked, and maybe we'll hear from him a little bit this weekend about the experience of growth and pride, being able to serve one's country in that way. Certainly, reminded me of the experience of going to summer camp and breaking out of my own shell. And I too became a chatty nerd after that point. So from one chatty nerd to another, welcome to Temple Beth Tikvah. Please join me in welcoming our special guest. Here, come over here. I have a water for you too, if you would like.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I come to you a weary traveler at the end of a speaking tour. I've been on the road probably 160 days this year, and mostly dealing with education. My job, for some reason, I aged out of reserve duty. That's when your midlife crisis hits if you're an Israeli man, when the army says, I'm sorry, you're just not that useful. I bought a guitar, in fact, not as nice a guitar, and I don't play it as well, but I was asked now to say a Dvar Torah, something Jewish rather than my usual topics, which are sad and frustrating and war and politics and things like that. So I want to, and luckily I was asked to give a Dvar Torah on the Shabbat in which we read about Jacob's ladder. So there's a lot to say. But I figured I'm going to go all in, and I'm just going to go right for the top. I want to tell you what I think Judaism is all about. I was told I have 15 minutes. Because why not, right? Judaism is a funny religion. And the reason it's a funny religion is that it doesn't seem to actually know much that religions are supposed to know. I'll give you an example. What happens after you die? Only those who consider themselves educated Jews, please raise your hand and tell me what happens after you die in Judaism. Sorry? Well, that's what happens to everybody else. What happens to you? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny that by the way, I have asked this question in yeshivas. Exact same answer. I once read a little booklet that collected all the different views on the afterlife in the Talmud. I think it reached 13. I don't remember exactly. This is quite a few years ago. My dad put me onto it. And the Talmud and the sages of the Talmud give us a whole assortment. They imagine an afterlife in which everybody, they of course live in a seminary studying all day, so they imagine the afterlife is just a really neat seminary where you get to study all day. And there's an afterlife called the next world, and it's the world after the coming of the Messianic age, and the dead are back alive, and there's peace and perfection, and everything is good. And there's reincarnation in Judaism, quite a lot of it actually, you'd be surprised. And there is heaven, and there is heaven and hell. And then most Jews are like, there's probably not a hell, because why would God make a hell? Judaism has no idea what happens after you die. And after the Talmud tells us all these different versions of the afterlife, the Talmud never tells us which is the right one. The Talmud is 800 years of conversations between rabbis, and we preserve in painstaking detail all of the losing arguments, not just the winning arguments. That is really critical to understanding what Judaism is. All the losing arguments are preserved. And in the case of the afterlife, they're all losing arguments. None of them are convincing, and nowhere does Judaism tell you what happens after you die. Rav Soloveitchik, the great rabbinic sage of Yeshiva University of American Orthodox Judaism, once asked a funny little question. In every blessing, every Jewish blessing over everything that you do, eat bread, drink water, go to the bathroom, everything has a blessing. And every blessing begins the same way. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, God, ruler of the universe. And then, thank you for, the bathroom prayer, by the way, is actually quite beautiful, creating all the right holes, and without which I could not live a day. And Rav Soloveitchik says, the most extraordinary and strange and intolerable part of every Jewish blessing is the word atah, you. Here comes the ant, the grain of sand, before the infinite Almighty, and says, you. How do we dare say you to God? We name names, we speak in third person, there's a lot of respect, there's a lot of dignity. Open your prayer book, God is this, there's this whole theater of kingship. You is very strange. And he has a wonderful answer. And his answer is that when you feel deep faith, when you deeply and truly believe, you tend to go through a process of confusion. This is the greatest 20th century sage of Orthodox Jewry in America saying this. You go through a process of confusion because if you truly deeply believe, then what you think is true, after you've studied and learned and spend your days deeply immersed and swimming in the ocean of Torah, and you come to a conclusion about who should be president of the United States, let's say, it is automatically, it feels deeply, intuitively, instinctively, as though your opinion is born out of your deep study of Torah. In other words, your opinion is the Torah's opinion. In other words, your opinion is God's opinion. Deep faith can create a process of identification between the divine opinion and my own opinion. And Rav Soloveitchik says the word atah is in our bracha. You say it 1,000 times a day if you are observant. Not because you are intimately close to God, but to remind yourself that God is not you. You are God and not me. It is distance. Judaism is a strange religion. We have no idea what happens after you die. And be very, very careful of a kind of faith in which you convince yourself you're right. Because you're not God, and you don't actually know. And I want to lay that out as the first part, and now the second part. Here's the second part. So what does Judaism know? What do we actually know about God, about the divine? It's a strange question to ask because it's Judaism. I mean, if there isn't a God, what are we doing here? And yet, Judaism tells us almost nothing about God. Maimonides talks about the path of negation. What can we know about God? God is the infinite ultimate. You can know nothing at all about God. No, actually, says Maimonides, there's one thing you can know about God. You can know what God is not. And so he says the path of negation. The path of negation is to look at a thing and say, oh, that's not God, and throw it over the side. And look at another thing and say, that's not God either. Throw it over the side. And as you say what God is not, as you develop a sort of a consistent way of understanding that God is not a thing, you move toward a truth you can never reach. But that's knowledge. Knowledge is the motion toward a truth you can never reach. That's Maimonides, the greatest of all rabbis who ever lived. So I want to submit to you what Judaism's theory of God is, according to Chaviv, keeping in mind Rav Soloveitchik's dictum that I don't know. I mean, I'm going to ignore that. I'm a journalist. I know everything. But the point is, I'm going to try to pretend to you that I'm humble. It's better for PR. And I'm going to try and bring it to this reading of this parsha this week of Jacob's Ladder. Why do we know there's a God? We know there's a God because there's a universe. This is not me. This is like traditional early Jewish mystical discourses. We know there's a God because there's a universe. Why should there be a universe? Why should that universe have laws and limitations? But there's a problem with knowing there's a God because there's a universe. Because the God cannot exist, a God who created the universe. Why do I say God cannot exist? This is all going to make sense, I promise. Why do I say a God cannot exist? Because God is infinite and unlimited, right? Well, a thing that is unlimited, has no end, can touch nothing. Because in order to touch a thing, you have to end. If my hand didn't end, it wouldn't be touching something, right? So this is the infinite God is a God that can have no definition, a God that can have no limitation, and therefore a God that by all intents and purposes cannot exist. To exist is to have a definition, and therefore to be limited, and therefore to... The God of Judaism that we know is there does not exist. To the point where in the Talmud at one point God is called not Ein Sof, of no end or infinite, but Ha'ain Shebasof, the nothingness at the end. The nothingness at the end of things must be what God is. Otherwise, it's not God, right? By the definition, if it's infinite, it's the nothingness at the end of things. It doesn't exist. It is that which is at the end of things that doesn't exist. But then we have a problem. What's our problem? What? The universe. But there is existence. That's a problem. Why is that a problem? Because the nothingness at the end of things couldn't have created anything. Because to create something is to... It's a limit, it's a limitation, it's an action, it's a thing. It is a de-godification of God. How does an infinite God create? But we have a problem going in the other direction. Galileo, and yet it moves. And yet the universe is here. There is an infinite, unknowable God at the end of all things that cannot be touched, accessed, understood, or thought of because it does not functionally exist. It cannot exist. And yet there is a universe born out of that infinite, unknowable beyond the universe. And then Judaism has an insight. That's the problem. You with me? This is a problem that also the Greek philosophers touched on, but we're going to pretend that they learned it from us. And then Judaism has an insight. There is one thing I can know about God beyond the path of negation. One thing I can know about God, and it is a big thing. And what is the one thing I can know about God? That God is the sort of God who would have created this universe. This world is the only information we have on God. And it's a lot of information about God. The infinite unknowable at the end of things produced this universe in which we are, and which produced us, and in which we awoke, and in which we went out looking for the infinite unknowable parent at the end of things. And so we are an awake creation, meaning we are the universe awake, right? If your hand falls off and if your head falls off, where are you? You're where the head fell, right? A piece of you is conscious, not all of you. We're the conscious piece in this vast creation. And what we know about the world and what we perceive in the world, our perception is not the same as the reality of the world, but our perception is the world awake to itself and in search of God. All of Judaism is these two things. It is the idea that you were dead before you were born, you're going to be dead after you're born, after you die, excuse me. The death is not the interesting part. The interesting part is the light in between those two moments. And Judaism is obsessed with that light, with that moment of awakening. And the whole story of the development of Judaism and all the stories of the patriarchs and the matriarchs and all of Jewish philosophy and all of Kabbalah in 17th century Tzfat, the Ari, the great mystic, gives us a version of Kabbalah which is based on the idea that God sent God's infinite light into the universe in vessels, but the light was infinite, and so the vessels broke. And so there is a breaking of these containers because God's too infinite, and so God pours out of God's own self into the universe. And the shards of divine light that falls like rain into the universe is you, is the soul. And that is a beautiful mystical image, but it's a mystical image depending on this really huge problem, which is how does the infinite create something finite that it doesn't then swamp? It's a very deep tension. We know from the universe something about God, and therefore we can have a relationship because we are the universe awake to its parent. So we can have a relationship to a God we cannot possibly know, and by definition cannot exist if it does exist. We can have that relationship. And it's based on us being awake, and that being awake is all there is. In the Parsha, Vayetze, Genesis 28:10, Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place, Bamakom. Makom means place. Makom also means, in this sheet of paper that we were handed at the door, there's a prayer to God for the hostages, for people who suffer, and God's name in that prayer, if you look, is Makom, place. It doesn't quite mean place, it means presence, it means beingness here. Jacob came upon a place, Makom, and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that Makom, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream. A stairway was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and angels of God were going up and down on it. The word, in this case for angels, is malachim, which is emissaries. There are many, many words in Hebrew for angels. This one is emissaries. And the emissaries of God were going up and down on it. And the Lord was the actual God, the name of God, was standing beside him. And he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you are lying, I will assign to you, the land on which you lie, I will assign to you and to your offsprings. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, the Lord is present in this makom, in this place, and I did not know it. Judaism has a theory of God that is both the most distant and the most intimate theory of God imaginable. Because the quarks that make up the particles within you, why should they be? You don't need all that much faith in Judaism. It's really hard to leave Judaism. There's a famous story of I'm finishing. Thank you for your patience. I told you I was going to go, I went straight to there's a famous story of the Archbishop of Paris, a guy by the name of Lustiger, who was a Jewish child in the Holocaust. He was rescued by monks. And he chose to remain in the order and after the war and converted to Catholicism and rose up the ranks of the church to become the Archbishop of Paris. And then he died, I think in 2001, something like that. And when he died, the Jewish community of Paris came to the Catholic Church demanding to bury him in the Jewish cemetery because he's still a Jew, right? You take a crowd of Jews and you say to them, raise your hand if you believe in God. Not a lot of hands are going to go up. Unless you're in yeshiva, in which case it's embarrassing not to raise your hand. Does a Jew have to believe in God to be a Jew? Does halacha and the Talmud think that you need to believe in God to be a Jew? There's not a whole lot of demand for dogma in Judaism. We don't actually have much dogma because we don't actually know much. But we know this. There is a universe. The universe itself tells us that the nothingness at the end of things can have purpose while having no possible being or purpose. And yet we are here, and therefore there is this thing, and therefore there is a relationship because we are the awake thing in search of that infinite that created. And it is here now with us and among us. Being is enchanted. How could it not be? Shabbat Shalom.
I knew we were getting a great journalist. I didn't know we were getting a great mystic, too. I can't wait for the theology podcast to come. I'll be the first to sign up for that. Friends, we have a special capstone on Chaviv's presentation because Jody and Stu have graciously agreed to sing a very special song that's become sort of an anthem for our congregation this year. And it's actually on the back of the little piece of paper that you got or that your neighbor has when you came. Just a week or two after the October 7th attacks, a great Israeli musician named Doron Talmon, who has a band named Jane Bordeaux, just sort of sat down and wrote this song, what became this song called Lo Lavad, which means not alone. And as you can see in the words, it reflects just the imminent visceral pain and trauma of the loss of a way of life and the reactivation of generations of psychological torment that arrived in the wake of those attacks. And yet it contains within it also the full Israeli ethos of this will never be the end of us, and we together will overcome. We will bring this great light. There's a great line at the end. It's in the last verse. Umi she'od lo shav niyeh lo migdalor. For those who haven't yet returned to us, we'll be a lighthouse for them. We'll shine out on them. It's very appropriate, a metaphor looking toward Hanukkah being in the Hebrew month of Kislev, and a reminder of the unity of our people. So thank you, Jody and Stu, for bringing this to us, and we can join in the chorus if you want to.
Please do. העת שבגינה שלנו לא שרד, נשרף כולו בבוקר מקולה לחד, והגינה עומדת יתומה, ולא נותר מי שישכה בה את האדמה. מי ישיר בטקס בקיבוץ, ומי ירקוד במעגל על הבמה בחוץ, מי יקש את טרקטורים ועגלות, ומי יקסור את החיטה שבשדות. נושיט כולנו יד, אנחנו לא לבד, שותפי גורל כאב ואהבה כעם אחד. נבכה ונתגבר, כמו אז לא נשבר. יש לנו רק אחד, את השני ולא יותר, ולא צריך יותר. שורשי העץ נאחזים בלב האדמה, ישובו לעלות לזמוח עם המנגינה, ניגון עתיק של נחמה וצחוק הילדים. אנחנו בית לעצמנו, סוף לנדודים. נושיט כולנו יד, אנחנו לא לבד, שותפי גורל כאב ואהבה כעם אחד. נבכה ונתגבר, כמו אז לא נשבר. יש לנו רק אחד, את השני ולא יותר, ולא צדיק יותר. נזכור את הפרקים, כל מי שנכתבו, יפה התואר מלכים בדגל נטפו, ומי שעוד לשב נהיה למגדלות, נדליק פה אור גדול עד שאלינו יחזור, נושיט כולנו יד, אנחנו לא לבד, שותפי גורל כאב ואהבה כעם אחד, נבכה ונתגבר, כמו אז לא נשבר, יש לנו רק אחד, את השני ולא יותר, ולא צדיק יותר.
Please rise. Page 586, 586. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו וזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. page 591. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please have a seat, everybody. Share the words of Chana Senish, on the bottom of page 595. She writes, Yesh kochavim she'oram magia arza rak ka'asher hem atzmam avdu ve'enam. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד בתוכנו. אורות אלה מרחיקים בחשכת הליל, הם שמרים לאדם את הדרך. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved, Their memories keep shining brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. And as we enter a space of sacred memory, I invite you, if you are in a customary period of mourning for an immediate relative, be it the Shiva, Shloshim, or Yartzeit, as I read the name of your loved one, please feel free to rise and stay standing. We remember those who passed away at this time in years gone by, including Leah Brockstein, Rose Schwartz Friedman, Helene Friedman, Walter Jacobson, Ruth Schaffer, Bianca Schloss, Benjamin Sturman, Morris Greenberg, Blanche Frank, Miriam Bart, Leslie Habelow, Lena Gammerman, Tessie Galvin, Anne Blumling. If anyone else is here to say Kaddish, I invite you to please rise and be recognized among the mourners of our community. I invite us all then to rise in solidarity with mourners here and everywhere as we meditate on the lives of those lost, lives gone by. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me rabba ve'almad divrach l'r'utei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'alam u'le'amei amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of shalom bring peace and shleimut and wholeness to those whose hearts are broken, and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru. Please have a seat, everyone. Leslie Powell is here to greet us on behalf of our board, or Stephen Stoll is here to greet us. Never know which one of them is going to come up. As he's getting prepared, we will have a wonderful oneg afterwards. We're going to go straight, following the service, into the social hall to make Kiddush together. I know it's going to be really tempting to greet Chaviv and introduce yourself, and you should do that. But first, please, let's agree to let him have a plate of food, because he's probably had a really long day after a series of really long days, and it's getting late. So let's let him eat first, and then we will greet. Eat and greet, okay? All right. Stephen, the mic is yours.
Shabbat Shalom, I'm Stephen Stoll. The first thing I have to tell you is that do not bring these home with you. There's a basket right there. Drop it in the basket on the way out, okay? There's a meditation and mindfulness tomorrow on Zoom at 8 a.m., immediately following by Torah study at 9 a.m., which is in person or on Zoom, and Rabbi Moss is going to lead the conversation. We're thrilled to welcome our scholar in residence, Aviv Redigur, this weekend. We hope you can stay for the question and answer and for all the weekend's activities. And while joining us on for Sunday Scholar in Residence discussion, be certain to check out the pop-up gift shop. And it says here that all the items are deeply discounted. It says deeply discounted. So, there's still time to RSVP to Rabbi Moss's class next Sunday morning. It's about Hanukkah as interpreted through American and Israeli Jewish ethos. RSVP to Caroline in the TBT office. And don't forget, don't take this home. Shabbat shalom.
Stephen, just theoretically, if I really wanted to take my cool name tag home, could I do that? No. That was the wrong answer, Stephen. The answer is no. Not even the rabbi gets to take. Do I have a name tag? I should have a name tag. Oh, I'm sorry. I did the wrong thing. Don't do what the rabbi did. Do what the rabbi didn't do. All right. We have a lovely section of Israeli anthems in the back of our prayer book. So let's sing one of them to close. 652. We have Ani Va'ata and Bashana Haba'ah. Do we have a preference between the two? Do we have a favorite? We like Ani Va'ata. Okay. We like. All right, we'll do that one next week, Toby. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה אז יבואו כבר כולם. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה ננסה מההתחלה. יהיה לנו רע, אין דבר זה לא נורא. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי לא משנה, לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. את העולם. את העולם. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן. Adonai yivarech et amav shalom. God, give us strength, give us unity, give us peace. Shabbat shalom. Very nice. Oh, it's so fun to collaborate with you guys.
Shabbat shalom. That was great.
That was fun.
No, it's a good skill to transpose on the fly.
Quick question for you, Joe. Is the panel here temporarily, or is it going to stay there for a while?
That'll be there for till tomorrow.
Okay, someone unplugged the cord for it, so I don't know.
All right, friends, please gather around.